Hello, my name is Daniel Spence and I run Automation X, which is an automation agency that builds really cool automations and lead generation. I want to talk about building automations and how to handle with clients and kind of like dealing with all of that side of it. And this is stuff that I've touched on before, but it's really doubled down over the last couple of days, and I really wanted to kind of like remind you about this. So when you're servicing clients and building automations like this for them, um, which took us bloody weeks to build. It's really the case of setting expectations and making sure that everything is user focused, because for them, all they've got to do is submit this form. And off the back of this, it will scrape every single industry, any industry that they put in here. It will email them based on the information that they add into here. It will choose from their drop down of selections that they want on here, and then they can add any extras in there. And for them, they literally press submit, and then it's completely out of their hands. And anyone who's a remote control freak is just like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do now? And really struggle with just leaving it be and accepting that this automation is here to do it. So I think my main point of this whole entire video is to just highlight that fact. And if it takes you running them through this automation and showing them, like pressing it to run and then sitting and watching it go with them so that they can see exactly what's going on with it, then do that. Because honestly, it'll be worthwhile doing that, because they're not going to struggle with all of the kind of issues that come off the back end of it. On that note as well, another thing to think about is when you're signing these clients is to lay out very clearly what your expectations are, how you want it to look, where it's going to go, what it's going to look like. Because we've got to the end of this automation build and it's like, oh, that's great, but however, I want something that I can like stop it and have like a fail safe so that it's like I need to approve all of these emails that are going out. Follow me for loads more tips. However, the whole point of the process was to automate his cold email sequencing and have these emails be sent out all of the time. So things like that, you're never going to be able to predict that on the front end. But if you've got a watertight piece of paper that says, like, look, this is our expectations of the build. If you want any of these extra bits, then like that's fine. We can add that in, but that's going to be another 3 hours of work. So that's going to be X. And building these little things off the back of it, because you don't want to get to the point where you're 2 months into this automation because there's so many bits that need to be changed and expectations and stuff like that. Whereas I think if you put your foot down on the first one, chances are you never need to do it again, because they're like, let me check whether or not I actually asked for this, and then if not, I need to approach them in a different way. And then all of a sudden, you get the power in the situation because they're asking you to do a favour instead of being like, well, I expect this as part of what I've paid for. So yeah, that's just a key point to mention on there. But yeah, so when building these automations, make sure you lay out what it is that you want them to do, make sure it's laid out how you want it to be done, and kind of just, you don't need to build it to kind of sign off with them and make sure everything's done, but just kind of like lay out expectations and what the automation is going to look like and how it's going to work. And then when you're dealing with the front end of it, make this stuff as simple as possible. This form before was literally just the heading, so I've added all of this text just so that then the kind of process can't be confused. I understand that you know that like this bit is basically for prompting the AI to customize the message. Like, explain that to them. What does that mean? Why are they even bothering doing this? For in this case, they put in who they want to contact. They put in where they are, and then this is where they're able to prompt it to say why they're reaching out and why they're sending these cold emails. Follow me for loads more tips. So that is quite a delicate prompt to get right. And initially, the client was basically putting in like, I want you to contact builders who are doing this because I'm using it as like a filter for who it is that they're contacting, and it's not built for that. It's built clearly and just solely to prompt the email copy. So at that point, it already knows that it's contacting accountants and builders because that's already given in there. However, the extra information is purely for helping that message copy. The other thing to think about when dealing with this kind of stuff is take in the fact that, first off, this might take longer than you're expecting. So set up realistic deadlines. Like, Well, he said this would be done in 2 weeks. It was done in 2 weeks and 2 days. However, those 2 days were really, really extremely painful. Whereas if we'd said it'd be 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks, then at 2.5 weeks, yeah, he probably still would have been chasing us, but it would have been done. But kind of make that window a bit more flexible and say, like, look, this is a complicated project, and just kind of build expectations. I think that's a really important part of it. And also think about this when you're pricing the automations. So we do a lot of value-led pricing. So pricing based on how much value we think this automation is going to bring to the company, how many hours we're going to save, how much potential revenue we could drive, and stuff like that. Not necessarily how long we spend building it. Luckily for this project, it's a nice high ticket one, so it's really not an issue. But you could quite easily end up spending like 5 extra days on a project that you didn't know you were going to do, and you've only quoted them for 3. It can seriously get that bad. I've had some where it's like taken us twice as long as expected, just because API keys don't play ball or whatever it is off the back of it. But yeah, so just be aware of that. Make sure you're factoring in these things in your price and also laying out expectations of what they get for that price. So that if they come back, which I'm yet to have a client to not do this, come back and be like, actually, I want to use this CRM tool. Actually, I want to do this. Actually, I want to do that. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. However, but it's going to take us longer to do. That's fine. Here's a bill. And do it like that. But yeah, I hope that's helpful. Yeah, let me know if you've got any questions. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.